Most people overpay for car insurance, not because they're careless, but because switching feels like too much hassle. That's why there's Jerry, your proactive insurance assistant. Jerry compares rates side by side from over 50 top insurers and helps you switch with ease. Jerry even tracks market rates and alerts you when it's best to shop. No spam calls, no hidden fees. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Switch with confidence. Download the Jerry app or visit jerry.ai/Libsyn today. That's JERRY.ai/LIBSYN.
I found Mimi Ison online, and she looked a lot like me. You know, she was in midlife. She was posting videos of her boxing and jumping rope and doing all the things that I love to do as a midlife woman. And I just thought to myself, wow, she seems like a really cool human being. I love that she's living so freely. And then I met her at the Liberty Road live event hosted by Netta Jones, a fellow podcaster and person that is really opening the doors for women to share their experiences about midlife. And I thought, I need to invite Mimi onto the show. Because here's the deal. Middle age is getting redefined. We are flipping the script on what it means to be a woman in our prime. And I'm calling it, our prime, as Netta calls it, it's the second third. And I'm seeing such a powerful shift right now for women in midlife that are embracing growth, strength, and vibrant living. And I think it's just about time that the outdated stereotypes get left in the past. This conversation around midlife is changing. It's loud, it's proud, and it's more empowering than ever because women and men are not just surviving these years, they're thriving. They're getting in the best shape of their life. They're embracing their health and wellness and career transitions and passions and powerful community connections. And this is exactly what we're going to talk about in this episode of The Real Dish. I'm interviewing Mimi Ison, otherwise known as Hey Middle Age on social media. And we're talking about really breaking these stereotypes, embracing midlife, but also understanding that there are challenges and how to approach them, how to navigate all the transitions and do it with grace and with a lot of joy. So buckle up, grab a seat at the chef's table, and let's dig in. So cool how life works because number one, your name is Mimi, and that's my nickname from birth.
I can't believe it. I can't believe
it's like you're my sister from another mister,
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I mean, and where we met which was great.
And that was the second thing was so cool because we met at the Liberty Road live event and you were speaking and I've been following you for at least a year. And I was no idea. Mimi, oh my goodness, you're like my boxing, again, sister from another mister because I've watched you on videos and how you celebrate midlife and that you box. And I don't find a lot of other women, let alone my age, but women in general that box that love it as much as I do. So
I agree. And then what was even crazier when we talked to each other that night was that your current coach is someone that I had trained with previously at another location. So, and I was so surprised too, because like you're my spirit boxing person because it's true. Like most of the people that I'm training with are younger, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that, but it is nice to actually connect with someone who has this in common. So
I couldn't agree more. And I think what a beautiful way to kick this off because, life is so cool when you decide you are going to, I like to say, squeeze the juice out of it, and you've really proven that in midlife, but I want to take a step back and I'd love our listeners to learn a little bit more about you. Can you just share a little bit about your background?
Okay. Well, I like to say that I'm an amateur 61-year-old and that I'm an aging person in training. And honestly, I didn't think, I don't feel like I thought that much about my age until I was in my mid 50s. So I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, 30 is this milestone age and it means all of these things. I didn't really feel that way. But around my mid 50s was just when I think a lot of things collided all at the same time, um, just professionally, personally, and emotionally. And so if we step back a little bit further, I'm California bred. I'm from the Bay Area. I grew up there.
Mm.
And I guess, just kind of had a
We have that in common
typical.
too, by the way.
Oh,
I
yeah.
lived in San Francisco for 5
Oh, you
years.
did? Okay.
Yeah.
I lived in San Francisco for a very short time after I got married, but um, I was a typical kid in the 70s, and in the 80s. Like at that time, you just went out and you played, and there
Yeah.
were no club sports teams, and nobody had a tutor after school. Like you went to school, you went outside, and you played with all your friends, and so that's sort of how, like in terms of being, physicality and being active and
Were
all
you
that.
were
That's
you
that's just what
active
we
growing
did.
up? You
Yeah,
were
like
active growing up?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain things that I had even as a kid that I still have now. I was always coordinated. I was always really flexible. I was always on the bars and doing all these flips and stuff. So, back in the 70s, a person who really, really inspired me was Olga Korbut, the Olympic gymnast, right? So like it was my dream. It's like, oh my God, I want to be a gymnast. Like all the girls wanted to be gymnasts, but
Again, something
yeah.
else we haven't caught. I was
Really?
Nadia. I was team
Oh,
Nadia.
okay.
Yeah, I was like,
Nadia, yes.
run!
Yeah. She came a little bit later, but so I used to just, tumbling and stuff. My friends and I, we would just play on the grass. Like that's just what we did.
Yeah.
And as I got a little bit older, I was always very, very small, very petite, very short. I'm average height now, but when I was young, I was very small. And so I think just as a younger person, going into middle school, you kind of thought, okay, I need some protection. I don't want to. I didn't go to a rough school, but like you didn't want to be picked on, And so
Yeah.
my way of sort of creating some protection around myself is I sort of observe. This is no joke. Sixth grade, I'm observing. It's like, okay, well, I'm not funny, and I'm not pretty, and I'm really small. I'm not athletic. What am I going to do? It's like, oh, the cheerleaders. Nobody touches the cheerleaders. So I became a
Mm.
cheerleader because I thought that was my way of like protecting myself and not getting beat up in middle school. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but so I did that like all through high school. And during that time, I, kind of dabbled with some dance classes. But I think that's where I was able to learn choreography pretty
Mm.
easily. And then when I got into college, I started taking a lot of dance classes in college, jazz and modern and just all different kinds of things. And then um, I was super into step aerobics. It was all about cardio, right?
Aerobics.
It's
Oh
all
yeah.
cardio. So I was super into step aerobics. And I'd go to the gym. At the time, though, it was more, I'd just kind of walk around and see what machines were open. There was no plan, nothing. It was like, oh, I'll just use
Yeah.
this machine. And it was all about aesthetics back then. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you
And
just
the
want.
coordinated leotards with the bodysuits and
Correct,
leg warmers.
correct,
Hmm.
correct. So I did that, and then I started adult ballet when I was 40. I did that for 10 years. I started boxing when I was 50. And then in terms of work and, school and all that, I went to a great college. I went to Cal, and at the end of your senior year, you go to the like kind of the job placement office, whatever. Everyone's walking around campus in a suit and pantyhose and sneakers, and you have your pumps in your backpack.
Do you ever laugh? Doesn't the word pantyhose make you laugh? It still makes me laugh to this. I can't even say it
Oh,
with a straight face.
you
I'm
know,
like, who wears pantyhose anyway?
well,
I mean, get tights now, but
we had to wear them back then.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I was a bank teller in college, and there
Me
was
too. What
no
the heck? How do we have so many? We've lived parallel lives. This is
wait.
crazy.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm dead serious. I was a bank teller. I worked for World Savings, which is defunct now. But
Oh
yeah, I worked for
yeah.
World Savings. Do you remember
Okay.
that
I
thing?
worked for Bank of America. I do remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay, that's even crazier. So Um, why did I mention being a bank teller?
Pantyhose.
Pantyhose. We had to wear pantyhose.
Yeah.
We had to wear stock, whatever, there was a strict dress code. And so I kind of knew very early on, I didn't want a corporate job where I had to wear pantyhose. Like that was just that. I loved fashion
Brutal,
when I
right?
was
I
growing
am
up.
so on the same page with that.
Okay.
So we're
That's
so what I mean, when you let me just jump back real quick
okay.
because obviously you were active
Yes.
and you loved being active in different ways.
Yeah.
Like, did you, aside from, kind of taking this bank job, did you
Uh-huh.
feel like at the time, like, I really am career driven? Like, I have something that I want to do in my life and I'm going to go for
No.
it.
No. No. I was I loved fashion growing up. That was really my dream, but I didn't know how to do it. I
Mm.
didn't know anyone. That's really not the industry in the Bay Area. There were some companies, not too many. I just didn't know how to do it. And I really didn't want a corporate pantyhose job. So when I got out of college and I applied for all these jobs, like I didn't get a single job offer coming out of
Mm.
college. So in my 20s, I was pretty
What did you study
rudderless.
in school? What
I
did you
was a
study?
mass communications major, which was essentially
That's
liberal
exactly
arts.
what I studied.
No, you didn't. You did not.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
I swear we were not separated at birth. I mean, this is every time you talk and say something, I'm like, yeah, me too, me too. And I'm
Wait,
not making this stuff up.
where did you go to school? Can I ask you?
CU Boulder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And guess what I wanted to study?
What?
Fashion. I was this close to enrolling at FIT because I was a fine arts major first. And then my dad was like, how are you
Okay.
going to make any money?
Okay, you're
And
gonna
then
love this. You're gonna love this.
uh,
After I went to school, I don't know if you know this, FIT had this 1-year program for students who had already graduated from college. I
yeah,
went to that program.
that was the program that I wanted to go to.
So I went to that program.
That is crazy pants.
That's
Okay.
crazy pants.
So,
That's
okay.
crazy
So
pants. Okay, so my 20s were just like, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going.
what am I
I,
doing? Right.
I did go to FIT after college. I did go to FIT, but prior to going to FIT, I had gotten engaged to my husband. So my dream is to be in New York City and work in the fashion industry. And so by the time I got there, all I wanted to do was come back home,
Mm,
which is what I did.
mm,
So my path was just like a little bit all over the place, and then my daughter was born when I was 36, and I was uh, lucky enough to be able to be a full-time parent for many years, which I love doing.
yeah.
And then it was like, okay, well, I need to find a job. I need to find something to do. I actually did an unpaid internship when I was 42 years old. And then
Doing
eventually,
what?
I was working in a casting office,
Mm,
movies and mainly movies.
yeah.
They were casting films. So I did that because I thought, oh, well, I had taken acting lessons all through the 90s and dabbled in a lot of that. And I thought, well, I like being around actors. I love this kind of stuff and scripts and all this. And so, but working in a casting office was not for me. So that was a
Yeah.
great way to find that out. And eventually I land uh, as an assistant for this really cool, hip jewelry company in LA.
Mm,
And I start as as an assistant and like the lowest of the jobs. And I have my desk and I just kind of kept quiet and absorbed and listened to everything that was going on and really thought that I could maybe improve some of the, processes and things like that. And I think the owner was, I don't know, she saw something. And so she offered to me to be the manager of the design department. And that eventually led to moving up. And I was eventually the creative director for many years. at this company where I oversaw every creative team, from the designers. We had graphic designers, we had photographers, we had an in-house writer, we had, and then moved also into the marketing piece. So I did that for many years.
So you really honed your kind of all of your creativity in and expression into a position that you were able to thrive in for many
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
What kind of took you from there into, and I don't love this word because
hmm
it's so hard to sometimes define it, but
Yeah.
into an influencer role. Okay. And
Oh,
by
okay.
influencer, I mean, you're not just an influencer. You have a substantial following, but you are what I believe not just an influencer, but an aspirational role model.
Oh,
Because
wow.
you've really taken, well, you are Mimi.
Thank you.
Embrace that, you know. I mean, for your not only your physicality and what you're able to
Mhm.
do with sports, but your natural beauty and embracing your grays, embracing your natural appearance, not feeling like you have to, and we live in Southern California where that's not
Yeah.
easy to do. And people are hyper, there's a lot of hyperbole going on people's
Yeah.
faces, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? How did you make that transition?
So, like I said previously, my mid 50s is when I was really starting to think about aging. And at that time, I was pretty burnt out from work. My mom had passed away,
Mm,
and then my daughter was graduating from high school that year. And my body was hurting like every day,
mm,
and I didn't know why.
mm,
And then
mm,
eventually I find out I have a herniated disc and, spine issues and all this kind of stuff. And so I just kind of stopped it all. And I have a spouse, and, I was privileged enough to be able to walk away from my job, which is what I did to just kind of reset. And I just dove into all things middle age, all things midlife, read what I could, listened, searching around everywhere. And honestly, I didn't really love what I was. It's not that I didn't love what I was finding, but I didn't feel like it was speaking to me. So a lot of the
mm,
messaging was around either anti-aging, right? Fighting it, denying it,
mm,
sweeping it, doing whatever you can to hold on to youth. So that was one bucket. And then another bucket was a little bit overly optimistic, which didn't seem realistic to me either. And that the age is just a number, which I know a lot of people love to say. I feel like that falls into one bucket because, yeah, it is, but there are things that are changing and we need to be cognizant about it, I think, to prepare. And
mm,
then and then the other bucket was more sort of much later in life preparing, and 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 that didn't I didn't relate to that either. So I thought I started to find just like information that I thought was interesting, and I decided to share that on a blog. So I started a blog.
mm.
It's also called Hey Middle Age,
Middle age,
and
which is your Instagram handle.
which is my Instagram. And the only reason I chose that is because I wanted to use middle age to make it searchable,
Mhm.
and it was like a name that I could find that wasn't taken everywhere. It's very hard to find something where you can have the same handle everywhere. It's like really, really hard to do. So
Right.
I just landed on that, and
Okay, when it comes to cooking and doing it in a way that is healthy for your fit life, there's a few things that we have to keep in mind. Number one, is it functional? Number two, is it clean? Meaning, does it contain any of those yucky coatings that they add to cookware nowadays, especially the nonstick kind? We don't need that. We don't want that. And number three, is it pretty? Because, hey, if it's aesthetic, it's going to make us feel pretty good when we cook on it. And that's why I am totally digging Hexclad cookware. Talk about the most gorgeous cookware you will ever use. Plus, it's totally functional and healthy to use. Hexclad's patented hybrid cookware brings performance of the stainless steel, the durability of cast iron, and the convenience of nonstick all in one. That, my friends, is Michelin level standards with cleanup convenience, because when we're cooking at home, we don't want to be scrubbing dishes all day long either. So now you can unleash your potential in the kitchen without any limits. What I love about it, that nonstick hybrid technology coupled with excellent temperature control. You've got to be able to temper your temperature to get that great sear and to do the nice poaches. Easy care, so it's going to clean up easy, and easy cleaning. All of that with the additional benefit of being free from toxic coatings and having a lifetime warranty. This is the cookware you're going to use for life, my friends. So it's time to take a little assessment of the cookware that you have. If you have your hand-me-down Teflon cookware, it's time to throw it out and invest in a nice new set. And Hexclad is going to deliver on its promise with that lifetime warranty. I can't recommend it enough. I'm totally infatuated with mine. Can I say that? Infatuated. And I know you're going to be too. So make sure you head over to hexclad.com/Chef Maria, and you'll get up to 30% off your new cookware. Start the year off right and cook with delight. How about that for a rhyme? No, seriously though. Use my code Chef Maria at hexclad.com. That's HEXCLAD.com. And you'll get up to 30% off your purchase. You will not be disappointed.
And I'm generally a pretty, private kind of person. So that was a really hard thing for me to decide to write about myself and put it out there. I mean, it's such it's so inconsequential. I'm just like, I have this little tiny space. But to me, it was really, really hard. I had a lot of fear around it. And you could look up how to put up a blog. You could Google it, and you could put one up in half of a day. And I took 2 years to do it because it was just really, really uncomfortable. But at some point, I just had to decide, just put it out there. No one's going to see it. Who cares? Just do it. So I did that. And then you get all the handles, right? You get all the social media accounts. Of course, I got Instagram. And then I put like one post up, and I didn't put anything else up for about a year. Same thing. I don't know what I'm doing. This is so stupid. It just seemed, it was just fear. Ultimately, it was fear. So eventually, I don't know what made me decide to just put it out there, just do something. Let's just see what happens. So I did that. And then probably about 3 or 4 months in, I had done a remix. So remix, for those who don't know, if someone allows you to, you could be next to them or with them in their video. And so I started doing these dance videos because I was finding them and they looked fun. And one of them went viral, which I didn't even know what that meant. I opened my phone and there were just hundreds of notifications. Like I didn't know, I thought something was broken. I didn't know what was going on. And from that, there was like a big surge in followers. And then that happened a few more times. And just like anything else, I was just learning to do one little thing and then another little thing. And initially, I didn't want to speak on camera. I didn't want to, it's like even the remixes were more comfortable for me because it was another person's video. But over time, but over time, I just started to find a style, I suppose you could call it. And then, as I had when I was diving into sort of all things midlife, like ageism was like one of the subjects that I stumbled upon that I really didn't know very much about at all.
Yeah.
And so that is like an area that I've really jumped into to read about and research. And so I would insert a lot of that messaging, and that seems to be of value to some people out there because
Yeah.
they're messaging me and they're telling me. And
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. So I have a question for you.
Mhm.
You said you waited 2 years and then
Mhm.
you were kind of like, why don't I just do this? What was it though? Could you pinpoint like what was the actual driving force that made you take that leap of faith and not and kind of overcome your own fear?
I don't really know. I don't really know. I mean, I can't really remember if it was any one thing. I think I felt
Mm,
like if you think about social media, and I know there's a lot to criticize around it, but social media enables you to have a place where you can put your voice out there,
yeah.
and it's a, you know it's like a period in history where this is happening. It
Hmm.
doesn't cost you anything, and I just thought, wow, if even this far into it, I thought if I don't just try it, I think I'll regret it.
Mm,
I think that was one thing,
yeah.
and um, and I don't know how much you think about dying, but I do think about dying. Sometimes it's like, well, I'm going to die someday. So is that going to matter? No. Okay. Post it. I can honestly.
Yeah, well, and I think, let's be honest. I think there's a
Mm,
why for everybody for
yeah.
doing things. And I mean, personally, I think
Hmm.
sometimes I have a responsibility to share
Hmm.
when something has hurt and the challenges that I've been through so that maybe I can help somebody not have to
Yeah.
go through that.
Yeah.
And I was just curious if you've ever felt that way.
Oh, yeah. And that just sort of gradually evolved because I was getting messages from people who told me, oh, I'm 42 and I'm not scared of getting older anymore.
Mm,
Or I had someone tell me that I hadn't taken a dance class since I was 10 years old, but I saw you and I signed up for one. Or
yeah.
because it's, I mean, just because of sort of my perspective, it does, it surprises me and doesn't surprise me because this is ageism at work. But I
Yeah.
really get a lot of communication from people who are telling me, oh, I'm 30, I'm 40, I'm 50. Is it too late? It's too late, right? How can I do that? I can't do that. How is it possible for me to do that? And really, the qualifier is just the age, based on what they're telling me. It's just the age. And
Mm,
that's when age is just a number. If you just use
yeah.
age as a qualifier, when really it has nothing to do with the thing that you actually want to do, that's ageism at work. So, like sometimes I use this as an example. When I was 50, I took a trapeze class, and
Oh,
um,
that's cool.
and so I didn't think I'm 50. Can I do the trapeze class because I'm 50? I didn't think that. I thought, can I climb that really high ladder that looks scary? Do I have the arm strength to hang on the bar? Do I have the flexibility to pull my legs up and over the bar? And am I going to be able to let go of the bar? And is that guy on the other side, is he going to catch me?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So those are the questions.
It wasn't so much about like the number. It was more about like, do I have the strength
Right.
and almost like what's in between my two ears,
Hmm.
right? To be able to make that leap and do that.
It
And
had
I think,
nothing to do with the number. It had nothing to do with the age. But
well,
I
I
think
think
we're,
but the two go
mhm,
so intrinsically hand in hand, right?
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like when we were younger, we would see people and hear about people in their 50s, and what would we say? Midlife crisis. I mean,
Mm,
it was like the word crisis always followed midlife, and you
yeah.
just kind of imagine like it's the guy buying the Porsche that's
Right.
like trying to find something, to hold to preserve his youth, and it's the
Yeah.
woman who, like, all she does is have cocktails at lunch. Like, it just kind of, there's these images that we grew up with,
Yeah.
and I
But I
think,
don't I don't know so much about the man side of it, but I think for for women there is, going through perimenopause, because that was so like hidden and shamed and all that. I do feel like there is this period where you are going through a lot of these changes and you don't know what's going on, you don't
yeah,
understand it, your body's changing, you're feeling different, things are starting to hurt, you can't sleep. And I'm not going to call that a crisis, but there is a transition and a change there. It's
hmm,
much better now where we're kind of understanding more of the symptoms and things like that. But even, I'm 61, and when I was going through perimenopause, it was like nothing out there
yeah,
in terms of information. It's much better now, much better now. But I think that was a piece of sort of when I was diving in to try to figure out like what is going on and why does my body hurt so much for no reason. Those things I think are you know, all connected, and we're just not like, it was so hard to identify it back
yeah,
then.
and well, that kind of leads me to my next question,
Mhm.
actually. What Let's talk about perimenopause,
Yeah.
because I
Let's
feel
talk about it.
I feel like, and I started going through it in
Mhm.
2020, right? During the height of the pandemic. I truly believe the pandemic and the stress and anxiety around it
Yeah.
kind of propelled me into it. And probably I was experiencing it prior, but that's when it really
Mhm.
like hit. And I remember walking into the doctor and her just being like, well, it's just a phase. You'll get through it. And I'm like, what does that
Uh,
mean? Like, when? And it seems like in the last 4 years, there's just been an explosion of, documentation and discussion and books and
yeah.
podcasts and, doctors coming out and talking about it and
Mhm.
specialize. I mean, it's really become an industry.
Yeah.
Um, but taking you back to
Mhm.
for yourself and for everybody listening that's not
Yeah.
sure what perimenopause is, these are the years prior to going through full menopause. And menopause is actually one day. Menopause
Mhm.
is the day that marks 12 months without a menstrual cycle. So when people say I'm in menopause, menopause is one day, and everything else after that is postmenopause. But peri is before, and that's when your hormones change dramatically and you start going
Mhm.
through a whole myriad of different things. And everybody's peri looks very different, lots of different symptoms. What what happened for you? And you mentioned you
Yeah.
kind of were like, nobody prepared me for this. Like,
Mhm.
how did you get through it?
Well, one, I didn't know I was in it because I didn't understand any of the symptoms except for the typical ones we know about, hot flashes, pretty much. And I had very few of those. So I didn't really understand what was going on. So for me, it's all looking in a rear view mirror
Mm,
to sort of be able to look back and say, hey, I think that was related to perimenopause. I just didn't know it at the time. And so one of the biggest was probably brain fog, just
mm,
doing things that were so out of character and um, just really kind of surprising and kind of shocking. Like there was one day I went out to do some errands and I was in a busy area and I found this really good parking spot. So I parked, actually parallel parked, got out of my car, went and did some stuff, and I came back and I couldn't believe it. I had parked in front of an apartment building driveway and blocked it
oh, wow.
and thought it was a parking spot. And it just, I mean,
You didn't get towed though. That's
but
good.
I didn't get towed. And luckily, no one was trying to get out of
Hmm.
the apartment building. But I mean, I couldn't believe, and the other cars all had meters. So everyone's parked at a space with a meter, and I had blocked this apartment building driveway. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. And just like
Hmm.
things like that was like one of the bigger ones. Like one day I dropped a Pyrex bowl in the kitchen and shattered thousands of pieces all over the place. It didn't slip. I didn't bump anything.
Mm,
I just dropped it.
mm,
And so some of these little things, not
yeah.
little things, these things were happening again that were so out of character. I didn't understand what was going on. I just thought
Mm,
maybe there's something really wrong.
wrong.
So I was sort of
Yeah.
documenting these things to keep track, but I didn't know what they were.
Yeah.
And then I was having just like a lot of pain. Um, and I actually started hormone therapy this year, and all of this pain went away. Like it
So
went
you just
away.
started this year
Hmm. Yeah.
at
So
61. So were you
I was
suffering through it for the past few
I
years, or
was
how were you managing it?
again, I didn't know that's what it was. So I do have back issues. I have a herniated disc, and that is kind of its own separate thing. But I was hurting all over all the time, and I just thought it was
Mm.
radiating from my back. So that pain was just like just spread, just all over. And I kind of found a way to manage that after a few years of trying all kinds of things. But I do have a way to manage that. The uh, MHT was for osteoporosis. So I do not have osteoporosis. I have osteopenia. I've had a few DEXAs, and my mom had osteoporosis as well.
Hmm.
And I'm a tiny, small boned person. That's why I'm taking it. Not having like all that, all over body pain that went away, that was just like a bonus. I wasn't expecting that. And what
Hmm.
I realized was that that pain was separate from the back pain. It was two separate pains. But I feel like a new person not having this pain.
So the hormone therapy that you're
Hmm.
on, is that bioidentical hormones, or what type of
It's
hormones?
a patch, and then I have to take
A patch.
progesterone along
Yeah.
with that,
Hmm.
and it's a lowish dose on the low side. And it took a while to get. I had to go to four doctors, and
Yeah.
it took 2 years to get it because nobody wanted to prescribe it to me. And I think
Isn't
that,
that something?
well, I
It's
think
so
that,
crazy.
well, that part of it kind of evolved too, because as more information was coming out around the Women's Health Initiative, that study, and there were doctors and experts who were more vocal, there was more information.
Yeah.
When I first approached my doctor, I was looking at it more as more preventative, say around heart disease, which it is not prescribed for that purpose. That's not in the guidelines. And so I was
Hmm.
kind of asking it for something that it's not prescribed for. So in defense of my doctors, that's just part of the guideline. And so as I was asking about it and coming back, and I was seeing different specialists, it kind of came around to getting it for the purpose of bone health, which it is
Yeah.
prescribed for. So
Yeah. I
that
mean,
was
and
just
so
my
many.
path. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and but I will concur with you that,
Mhm.
I'm not on it yet. I have it. I've just decided to try some alternative
Hmm.
therapies like fenugreek and
Hmm.
black cumin
Hmm.
and evening primrose oil and a few other things that I take. And I'm just, I have it ready to go. I'm not opposed to it at all.
Yeah.
But the truth is, estrogen helps to protect heart health, which after 50 women tend to experience about
Hmm.
30% more heart disease um, because of the drop in estrogen. And like you said, bone loss and osteoporosis, which comes from bone loss, becomes much more, prevalent. Um, and only just starting to hear
Hmm.
more data about the fact that HRT is actually safe. There, for
Hmm.
years, it was shunned or, kind of like not used because there was some erroneous data that came out, misunderstood data about the link to cancer. So now that things are different, now that there's a lot more dialogue, what
Yeah.
would be something that you would say to someone who is in their 30s, maybe has not even thought about perimenopause? It's like the furthest thing from their mind. What advice would you give them, kind of knowing that with aging, and aging is a privilege,
Yeah.
that it's inevitable? What advice would you give them?
Um, well, just one note on HRT or MHT. It's not for everyone. Obviously, it's a personal choice. And I do believe we actually need more research. We need more data to be able to say more definitive things around it. And it's a good time right now in terms of having a lot more information that's accessible. So that's really great.
Yeah.
But someone who's 30, I mean, from a physical standpoint, I'm going to say really dive into perimenopause and menopause and learn as much as you can about it, because it's coming. It's coming. It could totally rock your world. Again, it's different for everyone, but it's something that can be really a really dramatic change in your life. So to be able to recognize what's going on, maybe track it. I know there's the Perry app that has is it the Perry app? No, the Clue app, I think, has a tracker where you can actually track symptoms. And so for me, that's a great way to go to your doctor and say, hey, I see this pattern going on. I think that's very helpful to be able to have that conversation. So you could see, oh, I'm not sleeping 5 nights out of the week, or whatever is going on. So I would say from a physical standpoint, do that. What I share is not prescriptive, because I'm not a trainer. I'm not a coach. I'm not an expert. I'm trying to figure it out like everybody else. But I would say crank up your strength training. If I mean, you're the bodybuilder, if pretty much all the experts are saying there's so much benefit to strength training because we start to lose muscle mass, in our 30s, and
bone density,
bone mineral density. It helps with that. It helps with so much. It makes you feel better, stronger, your mood, all those things. So I would say strength training, and not light, heavy, right?
Yeah.
I think from
How
a
often
physical
do you strength
standpoint,
train, Mimi?
2 to 3 times a week.
That's great.
And someone was asking me like, oh, what is your workout schedule? Because I do a lot of different things. And I responded, I said, I know what I want to do in a week, but I kind of go day by day, because I'm responsive to my body. Like, I don't say, oh, I'm going to lift on, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I generally know when I'm going to box, because that's only twice a week. I need the rest days in between. So I'm very cognizant of how much recovery I need, how much rest I need. Is my back hurting that day? Okay, I'm not going to do lower body tomorrow. So
Good to be cognizant of that.
So I kind of am responsive to how I'm feeling, to know what I'm going to do the next day, or what I'm going to do that night, or whatever. So that's what I do for strength training. But that's a non-negotiable. That's a must.
Yeah.
I know, unless you're, out carrying a bunch of heavy stuff all day long, you got to find a way to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say it, and I say it all the time, but I'm going to say it one more time: is strength training is the way to build muscle, which is the longevity organ. If you have seen people, and I've worked a lot with elderly who have have sarcopenia, have no muscle mass.
I've seen it.
Muscle mass. It's
I've seen
really
it.
Devastating.
Yep.
And then on the flip side, I've seen people who are incredibly strong, and you would never guess that they couldn't do exactly what a 30 or 40-year-old could do at age 70 or 80. So, I think it really is the linchpin. Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night in a hot sweat? I used to, until I discovered Cozy Earth. They make the yummiest bedding, clothing, towels, so many things from 100% viscose from bamboo. It's perfect for sleeping because it helps to regulate and wick moisture away to keep you comfy. It's also the softest fabric I've ever had next to my body. It's durable and machine washable, and it's ethically produced, which is huge. They pride themselves on their ethical production, and I'll tell you, I have so many things from Cozy Earth, from sheets to bedding to towels to robes, pajamas, shorts, tops, dresses, and they are my absolute favorite items. You can get 40% off at Cozy Earth right now. Just head over to cozyearth.com and use my code CE for Cozy Earth -Maria I. 40% off. Plus, there's some of Oprah's favorite things, and you know, the Queen knows. How about your food? Of course, I'm curious about food. How is your diet, like, and I use the word diet, but I mean your eating plan.
Yeah.
How has that changed, if anything, if it has changed from, prior years?
Probably three things. A lot less refined sugar, protein with every meal, and more fiber. That's kind of it. I don't eat one way or another. I don't eliminate food groups.
Are you an omnivore? Do you eat meat and stuff?
Yeah. I eat everything. I don't eat very much red meat. It's, I don't know, maybe once a month. Maybe twice.
By meat, I mean, do you eat chicken, turkey?
Yeah, I do. And I try to eat well. I try to eat nutritious food, but I eat all kinds of stuff. My freezer's full of Trader Joe's. But I am the big thing is to keep my A1C normal, because during perimenopause and after menopause it was creeping up. And so
me too, by the way.
And I've been able to lower it through my diet.
Yeah.
But I used to basically function on caffeine and sugar for many years. When I was working in an office, it was caffeine and sugar.
Isn't it so crazy how you can abuse your body and literally just I remember, and this is no joke, there was a period of time in my 20s where I think I ate maybe 1 or 2 vegetables a week. I would just live on carbs. I mean, if it was round and brown, it was down, like cookies, bagels, muffins. I lived on those things.
But we were going through that fat-free era, right? Fat-free was supposed to be healthy.
Yeah, but it was it was cheap and it was quick fuel, as a starving student, college years. I mean, my diet was so brown. Everything.
Yeah. I mean, I think about just the knowledge my daughter has compared to what I knew when she was her age. I mean, she's been lifting for years. And so it's really awesome.
I'm proud of this generation. I went to the gym and a lot of people are like, oh, there's so many kids in here. And I'm like, it's great.
Yeah.
I'd rather them be here than doing something bad for them. It's great. I love it. And I have a tendency to talk to them. And usually they're kind of but then they think it's cool, I'd be like, and then I end up having a conversation with somebody who's a quarter of my age, but it's so cool because then they see someone who's older doing it and they're like, okay, I'm doing this now. I can do it then too. And that's really, I think that's very encouraging.
Yeah. There's one little thing as we're getting close to the end is, so I write about age frequently. I always state my age. On Instagram, I say my age. I talk about my age. I talk about not letting age be a limitation, really, if you want to do something, really check off the list of the things that you really need to be able to do the thing you want to do. And I got this comment from someone who said, because I said something like, wouldn't it be great if we didn't say something was an old thing or a young thing? You just do your thing, right? And she wrote something like, I just, I wish we didn't talk about age so much? And she said, and even your age, like it doesn't matter to me. And I said, I get it, I understand, and I wish that was the case, but it's not. So age, certain ages, older age, getting older. I mean, the narrative around it is lousy. And so that's part of the reason in my itty bitty space to be able to say, no, no, don't let it stop you. That's the world. The world is telling you all this. But
Totally.
most of the time it's BS. Like just, and it's hard. It's hard. I get it because people will judge you, or maybe even, the people or even your family. Like, you can't do that, or at your age, blah, blah, blah. So that's really the narrative. I think we're both trying to shift that to
Yeah.
show someone, no, don't let that stop you from, starting that sport, or being part of a group where you're the oldest person, or taking that dance class, or, whatever it is you want to do. I mean,
Well,
just,
look, you're doing it, and I think, by doing it and sharing it, you give people permission. You
yeah.
know, I mean, when I decided to do my first show at 53, I had a lot of friends and family members that were like, "What are you doing? Like, you're gonna wear a bikini floss like thing up on a stage, and everybody's gonna see
Okay, can I ask
every
you a
part of
question?
it." Huh.
What was the age category that you were in when you were 53? I'm just
Um,
curious.
I did, well, I did True Novice, so that was
Uh-huh.
like any age. You could
Okay.
be 21, and then
Okay.
I did 45 and over
Okay. So that was the top age group then, was 45.
for that show.
Yeah.
Now there are shows where it's 50 and over, and that's
Mhm.
usually the top. Very few
Mhm.
shows are 60 and
Mhm.
over. Um, but the 50 and over has become a thing now. But now, I mean, I'm going to be 56 in January, so
Yeah.
like I'm even getting, higher in the
Yeah.
50s. But what's crazy is my body completely changed, and I have way more muscle mass than I ever did when I first started this. So, like, my
Wow.
next show, I'll be in an even better position because muscle takes years to
Yeah.
build. And that's the thing that encourages me is when I see the even my own before and after pictures of my first
Yeah.
show versus my second show, I'm like, dramatic difference.
Wow.
So I think it's important that the dialogue that we have is also something that we do together, because
Yeah.
I feel like when we join voices and forces with people who have the
Mhm.
same mission, rather than seeing it as competitive, we
Mhm.
actually lift all ships together, right?
Mhm.
Rising tide lifts all ships. So it's
Yes.
like we can change. That's how we met. We met at Liberty Road Live,
Yeah.
created by Netta Jones, who is all about changing this narrative,
Yeah.
with like-minded people too.
Mhm.
That she brings onto her podcast and has in her live shows. And I would say that things are going to look very different for our kids.
Yeah.
But I have to ask you one last question before we
Mhm.
wrap up, and I ask you the final question.
Okay.
What do you say to the naysayers? Because there's always going to be criticism, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you're doing, I mean, it doesn't even matter whether you have one follower or half a million followers
Yeah.
or 10 million followers. There's no way to not have a critic. Do
Yeah.
you acknowledge the critics? Do you say anything to the critics? And what if the critics are your family and friends? How do you handle that?
I don't, I don't get a lot of that. I get some. Usually
But how do you handle even the sum?
it depends. It depends on, like, if someone like really crosses a line where someone is, bordering on offensive or something, that person is, I can block that person or hide or whatever. I don't need to do that
Yeah.
very often. I don't get a lot of criticisms. I do get some, and interesting. The one I probably get the most is not really age specific. Um, it's more that people think I'm showing off. So
Oh,
of any, that's probably the one it's
yeah.
like show off, like no one likes to show off. It's like, oh, you're showing off so much, which I think is really interesting because I think that's saying something around the discomfort that somebody has
Yeah.
in seeing it. So I don't think it's me. I think it's the person and like where they're at, I guess. I
Mhm. Have you ever gotten it
um
from family or friends, like people that know you?
no.
No, that's
No.
good.
No. Um but I don't I mean, I could see like how people would kind of question you doing shows because like that is really putting yourself out there in I think in a an awesome way.
Yeah.
Um
Well, I had a
I
discussion with
yeah.
my good friend who
Yeah.
is five-time Miss Olympia, Andrea Shaw. And I asked her because we are very similar in our faith.
Mhm.
And I asked her, how do you handle that? Like, how do
Yeah.
you kind of just mentally like handle that? And she said something really important to me. And she said, it depends on who you're serving. If you're
Mhm.
serving yourself with it, then maybe it's misdirected. But if you are doing it because you believe that you're doing it for a higher purpose, then
Mhm.
that's really between you and your maker. And
Yeah.
and it makes me think very differently when I get on the stage because like you, I went through a lot of physical issues. I
Mhm.
tore my ACL and my meniscus and fractured my tibia in 2020. Went through horrendous depression in Perry. Went through a hard divorce, got remarried, um, a lot of changes,
Mhm.
changes in business, changes in my personal life. Like just being through so much, I feel like now on the other end of this, like I deserve to do the things that make me happy,
Yeah.
and as long as I'm not hurting anybody and I'm doing it for the right reasons, like
Mhm.
I don't really care what anybody else has to say. And I can say truthfully in midlife, I
Mhm.
feel that way versus maybe other years where I would have been much more cognizant. And the people who know me know it comes from the right place. I'm not up
Mhm.
there trying to strut my stuff
Yeah.
or think that I'm all that. It's more of like, wow, I can do this. Wow,
Mhm.
I've been given a second chance. So I think the answer to me is if you're confident enough in
Mhm.
your own vision and your own meaning for why you're doing things, then it doesn't really matter. You can
Yeah.
bring people along on the ride and show them like it's a pretty cool thing and
Yeah.
it's not a self, worshiping thing. It's more of
Right.
like I get to do this.
Well, I think we probably hear that a lot from women in midlife and beyond. It's like, yeah, you slowly start to not care what other people think. And I, I don't say that I don't care what anyone thinks. I do care what people think, but it just doesn't sort of drive what you're doing as much. You're
Yeah.
not being as responsive to somebody who's critical. It's like you're prioritizing yourself. And so that's happened for me in a big way, just making myself more of a priority. I'm a great support person. I'm a
Hmm.
great at supporting other people, my spouse, my family, work, whatever it is, and making myself sort of the secondary part of the equation, right? And I'm just not doing that anymore. And it doesn't mean
Hmm.
I'm not supporting others and caring for others. Of course, I'm doing that. I have a family, and I have friends and all of that. But it's it's like even in really like even micro ways, I would catch myself always making sure, oh, if we're leaving the house, does everyone have do you all have all the stuff you need? Do you have are you taking it's like I don't
Yeah.
it's such a little thing, but if you find yourself
Hmm.
doing that constantly all the time, it's like not, it's like making sure everyone's okay ahead of you. And
Hmm.
so I don't do that anymore.
Mm.
And I catch myself because, again, it's such a small thing, but it just layers on top of another layer. And pretty soon it becomes like a big part of your identity. And so,
Well, I heard a great quote
mhm,
when it's not selfish, it's self-full. Because
mhm,
when you fill your own cup, then you overflow into someone else's.
yeah,
If your cup is empty, you can't fill anybody else's.
yeah.
So, with that, we have one last
Mhm,
question. I could talk
mhm.
to you all day.
I could
But one
you
last
all
question.
did too.
If you could have one meal, okay,
Mhm,
I ask all my guests this, one meal, like
mhm,
your favorite meal in the world, and maybe it's created by somebody, maybe your favorite
mhm.
chef or somebody that you love or someone you know. What
Yeah,
would that meal be and who would make it?
that's easy. I'd want my mom to be with me and have her cook Korean food for me,
What's your
you know?
favorite Korean dish?
She would make something called japchae, which is like glass noodles with vegetables and stuff,
Mm.
and then banchan. Like if you go to a Korean restaurant, you have all the little dishes, right?
Mhm.
So hers, the ones she made that I loved were bean sprouts and spinach, and she didn't make her own kimchi. She would usually buy that, and um, and then she'd maybe cook some shrimp or she'd cook. It's always like a lot of dishes,
Yeah, lots of
and
small dishes and condiments. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah.
By the way, I have very, very close friends that are Korean since
Hmm.
I was in college, and like kimchi is always in my fridge
Oh
at
yeah,
all
same
times.
here. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a fermented food. It's good for
I
you.
lived on it, and I mean, I lived on it at one point. Kimchi and rice was with tofu. That was like my vegan days, but
Yeah,
yeah, I love it.
yeah.
My husband makes fun of me because I get the big container. It's like,
Oh wow,
oh yeah, I eat it. I eat a lot of kimchi.
that's awesome. I always have it in my fridge,
Yeah.
but my family doesn't eat it because they don't really eat spicy food.
Oh yeah. No,
I'm
give
the
me the
only one who
spice
eats it.
all day.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well, Mimi, this has been so much fun. I just love your, your insights and your wisdom, and just being able to have another, sister in the fight, so to speak.
Yeah,
I think, it's just so fun to watch you. And where you said at Hey Middle Age is really where people can find you, right? Both your
I'm most
blog and your social handles.
yeah, I'm most active on Instagram. I'm usually on there every day. And then
Yeah.
my blog is a little bit dormant right now, so that's something I'm working on. I'm starting to write again. I just kind of let it go by the wayside, and because Instagram takes a lot of time, and
Yeah.
so I'm getting back into that too.
Okay, cool. Well, hopefully when we meet up with each other
I
again,
know
it'll be with the gloves on, baby.
it will. It will. Oh my gosh, that'll be phenomenal.
Fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you again.
Thank
And
you.
until next time. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal health advice. We are not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from the use of this podcast. This podcast is not intended to replace professional medical advice, and the views expressed in this podcast may not be those of the host or the management. Hey, it's Chef Maria, and thank you so much for tuning into The Real Dish. It means a lot to me that you're here. I hope today's episode has inspired you to take some proactive steps towards a healthier and happier you. Because just remember, bite-sized changes can lead to big transformations. But before you go, would you do me a big favor? If you found value in this episode, would you share it with 2 of your closest friends and hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode? And if you really want to make this girl's day, would you leave a 5-star review? I do hear an angel gets its wings every time you do that. But really, this helps us spread the message of real life wellness to even more listeners. And everybody could use a healthy portion of that, right? Now, until next time, remember, you are the chef of your own kitchen. So feed your life well, make good decisions, prioritize your well-being, and remember,
You need to take care of you because we only get one of you and you are a gift to everyone around you. So until next week, this is Chef Maria signing off. And just remember, we're here to cook up a good time every single week. We'll see you soon.